Okay, so today we're jumping straight into something that really blew up a bit during the 2025 NFL draft.
Yeah, this whole prank call situation, it's definitely sparked a lot of chatter.
Exactly. And we've got, reports from places like F1 Sports, FOX Sports covering the actual incident.
Right, and then we've pulled in background on Jeff Ulbrich, the coach involved. Well, his son was involved from
Mm.
Wikipedia, stat sites, team sites, even Reddit for some fan perspective on his coaching style.
So our mission here for you, the learner, is to really unpack this. What happened with Jeff Ulbrich's son, Jax, calling Shedeur Sanders?
We want to look at the call itself, obviously, but also the reactions, Sanders, Ulbrich, the Falcons.
The fallout, the consequences, and maybe try to connect it to Ulbrich's, whole career arc, player, coach, the whole picture.
Okay, so let's start with the prank call itself. What actually went down?
All right, so the core of it is this. Jax Ulbrich, who's 21, Jeff Ulbrich's son, he calls Shedeur Sanders during the draft.
Okay.
But he pretends to be Mickey Loomis, the Saints GM.
Wow, okay. Impersonating a GM during the draft. That's
Yeah.
bold.
Right, and he tells Sanders falsely that the Saints are picking him. Imagine getting that call. The draft is already, maximum stress.
Absolutely. Huge moment for these kids.
Right.
So how on earth did Jax get Sanders' number? That seems like pretty protected info.
Well, according to the Falcons statement, Jax just sort of found it. He unintentionally came across the draft contact phone number on an iPad at home, an open iPad,
All lying around.
apparently. And he wrote the number down. It kind of makes you think about, how easily sensitive stuff can get out, even by accident.
Yeah, raises some questions for sure. Was there footage of Sanders getting the call?
There was. Deion Sanders Jr.'s YouTube channel caught it. Jax, as Loomis, tells him he's getting picked by the Saints but needs to wait a little bit longer.
Huh. What did Sanders do?
He just looked really confused, turned to the people with him and was like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
You could see it clearly on the video, just bewildered.
And the Saints, did they actually pick a QB soon after?
Well, they did take a quarterback, Tyler Show, but not until the second round, so the timing didn't even line up perfectly with the prank.
Interesting. And Sanders himself, he ended up falling quite a bit in the draft, right?
Yeah, it was seen as a surprising fall. He went in the 5th round to the Cleveland Browns, much later than many expected.
Which probably just put more focus on this whole weird prank call thing.
You'd think. But Sanders, when asked about it later, he kind of brushed it off, called it childish. Yeah, said it didn't really impact him. He doesn't feed into negativity. Pretty composed, honestly.
Good for him. What about Jax Ulbrich? Did he say anything publicly?
He did. He put out an apology on Instagram, called his actions inexcusable, embarrassing, and shameful.
Sounds like he understood the gravity of it eventually.
Yeah, admitted it was selfish and childish, and he apparently apologized to Sanders directly, too.
It also came out that other guys got prank calls too, right? Like Kyle McCord, Chase Lunt.
That's true, yeah. It wasn't just Sanders. Seems like it was maybe a bit of a thing this year, unfortunately.
But the Ulbrich connection obviously made the Sanders one the big story.
Definitely. So that brings us to the Falcons and Jeff Ulbrich. How did they handle this becoming public news?
Well, the Falcons jumped on it pretty fast with an official statement.
What was the main message?
They confirmed Jax was responsible, number one. But they were really clear that Jeff Ulbrich, his dad, knew nothing about it beforehand.
Okay, so distancing the coach from the action.
Right. They said he was unaware of his son's plan and how he got the number, the whole data exposure bit.
Did they do anything else beyond just the statement?
Yeah, they said they helped facilitate Jax's apologies, both the public one and the private one, to Sanders and the Browns.
Uh-huh.
And they also announced a review of their own internal procedures, to try and stop that kind of privacy breach from happening again.
Makes sense. Damage control, basically.
Pretty much. They condemned the behavior, apologized to the Sanders family, apologized to the NFL, promised to cooperate if the league looked into it. Though it's not totally clear if there is a formal NFL investigation happening.
Okay. And the bottom line for Jeff Ulbrich himself, any punishment from the team?
No. The Falcons stated explicitly he wouldn't face any punishment for it.
Right. And that decision, that caused some reaction, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. Social media lit up. A lot of fans were not happy.
What were people saying?
Quite a few calls for Ulbrich to be fired, actually. The argument was basically negligence, like he should have secured his devices better, especially with sensitive draft info potentially accessible.
So holding him responsible even indirectly.
Exactly. Some suggested that maybe fines instead, or docking the Falcons' draft picks. It really stirred things up.
It's intense how fans expect accountability. And you mentioned something from Reddit earlier, connecting this to Ulbrich's past.
Yeah, it was interesting. Someone pointed out Ulbrich was the linebackers coach for the Falcons back during Super Bowl LI.
Ah, the infamous comeback by the Patriots.
The very one. And this user was drawing a line between that game and some comments Ulbrich apparently made later about coaching philosophy.
Okay, what philosophy?
Apparently, Ulbrich isn't a huge fan of the whole do your job mantra, the Patriots thing.
Oh, what's his take?
His philosophy is supposedly more like do your job and then some, go a little bit more, make the other team earn every yard.
Huh. So the Reddit connection was?
The irony, right? Some people feel that in that Super Bowl, maybe Falcons players trying to do too much freelancing instead of just doing their specific job might have contributed to the collapse.
Wow, okay. That's quite a connection to make. Adds another layer to how people might see him or this current situation.
For sure. It puts the fan reaction in a bit more context, perhaps. So maybe we should zoom out a bit and look at Ulbrich's background. He was a player, too, right?
Yeah, definitely. A long playing career, actually.
Yeah.
Linebacker for the San Francisco 49ers.
How long was he there?
10 seasons. Drafted in the 3rd round back in 2000, played right through till 2009.
And was he, like, a starter? Productive?
Yeah, pretty solid. Racked up over 500 tackles in his career, 5.5 sacks, couple of interceptions. A reliable guy for them for a decade.
And before the NFL, college ball.
Yep. University of Hawaii was his main spot. He actually set a school record there for tackles in a season 169 his senior year. Got all WAC honors.
Wow.
Though his path wasn't totally straight, he played at a junior college, Gavilan College, and redshirted at San Jose State first. So he worked his way up.
Show some grit.
Yeah.
And then he moved into coaching pretty soon after playing. His playing career ended with a concussion, I think.
That's right. And yeah, 2010, he was already coaching. Started with the Seahawks as an assistant special teams coordinator.
And in college again.
Oh.
UCLA.
Went to UCLA, coached linebackers and special teams, then got promoted to defensive coordinator there for a few years. Had some good players come through, like Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks.
Right. And then back to the NFL with the Falcons the first time.
Exactly. Joined the Falcons in 2015 as linebackers coach, was there for that Super Bowl run we mentioned, got bumped up to assistant head coach and even interim DC at one point.
So he was climbing the ladder there, then he went to the Jets.
Yep. 2021, defensive coordinator for the New York Jets under Robert Saleh.
And he even got a shot at being head coach there, briefly.
Yeah, interim head coach in 2024 after Saleh was let go. Coached the last 12 games, went 3-9.
So he's seated from a few different angles now. Coordinator, interim HC.
For sure. And then, full circle, back to Atlanta this year, January 2025, hired as their defensive coordinator again. So this is his second stint there in that role.
Quite a resume. And we know a little about his family life, too.
Yeah, married to Christina. They've got 3 kids. Samantha, Jack's the one involved here, and Jace, based in New Jersey. Apparently, he met his wife way back on a recruiting trip to Hawaii in '97.
Huh. It's clear football's been his whole life, pretty much. This incident with Jax must be a difficult spotlight for the family.
No doubt. You know, reflecting on his interim head coach time with the Jets, he apparently talked about learning the importance of, like, honest communication in the building and delegation.
Interesting. Lessons he's probably carrying into this Falcons job now.
You'd imagine so. Okay, so let's kind of wrap this deep dive up. We've covered the prank call itself, Jeff Ulbrich, Shedeur Sanders, the fake Saints offer.
Right. We looked at the apologies, the Falcons saying Jeff Ulbrich didn't know and wouldn't be punished.
Then the fan reaction, the calls for accountability, that interesting Reddit connection to the Super Bowl, and his coaching philosophy.
And we sketched out his career. Player, assistant coordinator, interim head coach, back to coordinator, a long road in the NFL.
So really, this whole episode gives you a snapshot, doesn't it? The high-pressure world of the NFL draft, the intense scrutiny coaches and their families are under.
It really does. Everything is magnified, especially around draft time.
Which leads us to our final thought for you, the learner. Thinking about Jeff Ulbrich's philosophy that do your job and a little bit more idea and this whole controversy, how might this incident and the way people reacted actually impact him?
Yeah, like how does it affect his leadership now as DC? Does it change the team dynamic in Atlanta at all?
And maybe the bigger question, in pro sports, where is the line? How much responsibility does an organization or a coach bear for the personal actions of their family members? It's definitely something to think about.